So that's boxing at its finest right there. You heard it. They said it. Make that bet. Everything on the line.
Kev, Gervonta is an animal for real. Jake is too domestic. Here's the thing, Mike Tyson's an animal too. He was just 60. But he messed around and he got a prime Tank.
Gervonta Davis has been pushing himself to the limit in preparation for his next bout against Jake Paul. His training routine is fierce, filled with non-stop sparring, lightning-fast pad work, and demanding conditioning drills. With elite coaches guiding him, Tank remains laser-focused, determined to prove that true boxing talent will always outshine social media stardom. According to Showbiz The Adult, Jake Paul may have just made the biggest error of his career by stepping up to face Gervonta "Tank" Davis, a fighter in peak condition and more dangerous than ever. Showbiz emphasizes that Tank has already proven his ability to handle taller, stronger opponents such as Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios, showcasing not only his knockout power, but also his technical skill and adaptability. He notes that Jake might believe he can rely on the same approach that worked against older opponents like Nate Diaz or when he targeted Mike Tyson. But this matchup, Showbiz says, is on a completely different level. Davis isn't a retired legend seeking a payday. He's an active world champion with elite speed, precision, and finishing power. In Showbiz's view, Jake Paul may have entered a fight that highlights the massive difference between an entertainer still developing as a boxer and a seasoned professional operating at the top of his game.
Jake, and let me tell you this too. I looked at that, I'm sizing them up. I'm looking at Tank and Jake, and I'm looking at him. Tank can reach him too. He reached Ryan Garcia. He reached Mario Barrios. I was like, he ain't gonna be able to reach him. He's gonna reach him. I saw Tank's gonna reach him. He knows he's gonna reach him. Listen, I wanna say this too. Funny as hell. Before I say all this, Alicia Baumgartner, shout out to you, girl. I couldn't believe out of all the women to be the first one to do 3-minute, 12 rounds is Alicia Baumgartner. Not really know if I have a great endurance, great stamina, and she's doing this shit. Shout out to Alicia Baumgartner. Because, what's her name, Layla? I don't really know her like that. But she looks like she ain't rattled by Alicia, so that's a perfect dance partner for that. Trying to drag Alicia Baumgartner into lake water, see what's going on with that. Shout out to Alicia Baumgartner. But let's get back to Tank. First of all, Tank knows what he's doing. Tank Davis, he said, he was just making all these implications that it's going to be scripted. When he said, you're paying me, and then he was like, yo, you're going to have to give me extra, and then he said that this is scripted.
At the end of the day, I gave this little guy an opportunity. He should be thanking me. I'm paying him. I'm his boss. He reports to me, and I'm going to fucking son him on November 14th. So fuck you, little man.
You paying me? Are you paying me?
Yeah.
100%? 100%. Facts?
Correct.
Yes? Correct?
Correct. I'm your daddy.
Some boxing experts believe Gervonta Davis could be stepping into deeper waters with this matchup. They caution that Jake Paul's size and natural physical strength might give him an edge once the two share the ring. While Tank's lightning speed, sharp timing, and knockout power dominate in the lighter weight classes, moving up against a heavier opponent could truly test his limits. Analysts remind fans that weight divisions exist to keep competition balanced, and crossing them always carries risk. Even with Davis's elite skill and relentless mentality, challenging someone with Jake Paul's size and strength adds a dangerous new dimension that shouldn't be underestimated. At the press conference, Gervonta Davis stood out for his calm, confident focus. While Jake Paul thrived on attention and theatrics, Tank remained collected, displaying the mindset of a veteran who understands what truly matters. His confidence wasn't loud or flashy. It was quiet, controlled, and built from years of dominance in the ring. For Davis, this fight isn't about fame or internet buzz. It's about showing that real boxing greatness still comes from skill, patience, and intelligence inside the ropes. Every glance and word from him carried intention. As Jake entertained the crowd, Tank embodied discipline and determination. His composed energy reminded everyone that real champions don't need chaos to shine. They rely on preparation, precision, and self-belief. The press conference made one thing clear. Gervonta Davis came to fight, not to perform.
It's a legit question. And I actually want to really hear your thoughts on who do you think is going to win. Because I know what Vegas is saying, but I want to know what you think. You got
Personally, I think Tank too little, bro.
Yo,
I think Tank too little.
I'm so glad you have a brain on your fucking shoulder.
I think Tank too little.
I said, bro.
I think Tank's too little. That's what I'm saying. At weight classes for a reason.
Davis
that weight class for a reason.
5'5", 135 pounds. Jake Paul is 6 feet, 205 pounds.
That's what I'm saying.
Bro.
He's too
6'1",
little.
205. Everybody's like, yeah, bro, but Tank it only takes one good punch. Yes, it takes one good punch when you're about the same size. There's a 60, 70 pound difference in weight in these people. I don't think nobody puts the physics in mind. Jake Paul gets punched in the face by dudes 200 pounds with all their might on a weekly basis. 135 pound puncher, bro. If y'all remember the Mayweather versus Conor McGregor fight, Conor walks around like 180 on the regular. He's like 5'9", 180. Mayweather's like 5'7", 145. That 30 pound difference, bro. If you remember that fight, Mayweather was putting mittens on Conor. Guess what happened to Conor? He didn't hit the ground once. No. He lasted all 12 rounds getting hit with flurries. I'm talking about Mayweather was having his time. He's being cocky with it, hitting him with all kind of combos. And we're watching the last 3 rounds of that shit like, yo, knock him out. And you know what? He could not knock him out because Conor gets punched by people that are 170, 180 pounds on a regular. And just that 20, 30 pound difference, it was like impossible for him to do anything. And that's exactly what I feel like is going to happen versus Jake.
Boxing veteran Teddy Atlas drew a comparison between Jake Paul's upcoming clash with Gervonta Davis and the earlier exhibition bout between Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather. He noted that while Jake holds advantages in size and reach, true experience will be the key factor in this matchup. Atlas emphasized that Davis has spent years refining his craft at the elite level, developing instincts of composure that only come from countless hours in the ring. Unlike Logan, who played cautiously against Mayweather, Jake will be facing a relentless competitor who knows how to capitalize on even the smallest opening. In Atlas's view, Davis's sharp timing and deep ring IQ could completely neutralize Jake Paul's raw power and physicality.
In the press conference, and you can tell, you can just look at him and tell, like, no, this dude he's gonna get this money for sure because there's so much money out there to be had. But Jake Paul better be not playing around, man. Not get cute, not play any games. Don't hit him in the back of the head. Don't rabbit punch him. Don't do any of that stuff, man. Because Mike Tyson, first of all, Mike Tyson, a lot of people think Mike Tyson was pulling punches on Jake Paul, and a lot of people think that Anderson Silva was pulling punches on him too. You're not gonna have a little Gervonta out there pulling punches on you, man, if you're out there playing games. So, I don't like the fight at all. However, as far as it being an entertaining situation, I almost guarantee you that fight itself is going to be entertaining. That it's going to be something that you look at and you're going to say, man, everybody's going to watch it. Everybody's going to want to know what happens in it. But at the same time, it's kind of like what people think, when you see a car crash. Like, you're driving down the road and all of a sudden the traffic gets heavy and you're like, man, I'm going to be in traffic for a long time. And then you drive forward a little bit and then you see, oh man, this is some accident on the other side of the road and everybody just slowing down to watch. That's the type of entertainment that you can expect from this fight between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. There's going to be a lot of people watching it, but I gotta say, man, you really can't blame the guy on what he's doing. And there's a lot of criticism flying on Gervonta Davis. It's not Gervonta Davis's fault that boxing took this turn. This turn of these
Analyst Luke Thomas shared a thoughtful perspective on Gervonta Davis as he prepares to take on Jake Paul. He highlighted Davis's trademark power and precision in finishing fights, but also noted a noticeable shift in his demeanor. This time, Tank appears calmer and more introspective, not from hesitation, but from a mature awareness of what this moment represents. Thomas suggested that Davis's mindset reflect a fighter who sees his bout as something greater than fame or a paycheck. It's about defending his legacy, representing authentic boxing, and standing firm against a growing trend of celebrity-driven matchups. He explained that this kind of mental evolution often happens when athletes recognize they're part of a larger story, one that tests not just strength but patience, focus, and emotional discipline. For Davis, that steady composure could be his greatest weapon or his toughest challenge. If he channels it properly, it could make his timing and precision even more lethal. If not, the weight of the moment might hold him back. Either way, Thomas believes this maturity reveals a deeper, more evolved version of Gervonta Davis, a champion determined to prove that true skill and discipline still outweigh popularity and size.
He's smaller, but he's a top fighter. He can punch. and he's fighting a guy who's not a top pro fighter, who's bigger. What if he hits him on the chin? What if he hits him on the chin? It'll wind up selling. And that's what'll wind up selling it. The what if. What if Tank makes him do a cha-cha? He hits him on the chin, and Jake Paul, we're going to find out if he can dance. Whoa, 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 whoa. You know, do the cha-cha. That's what's going to sell it. And you can't argue that what if. You can't. I know I get to places that other people won't go and everything else. They just dismiss stuff because it's easier to do that. It's safer to do that. You don't have the bows and arrows coming at you from people that argue with you because you did that. But I don't care. I've had bows and arrows my whole life. I don't care. But that's true. That what if? What if this guy who is a real good puncher, who is one of the best fighters in the world right now, what if he hits him? What if he makes a miss and he counters him? Or he jumps up in the air? Bang! And he hits him. Sid Terrace was a great fighter. No, not the 1700s, but years ago. And Cus D'Amato told me he loves Sid Terrace. He said, Teddy, he used to jump up in the air and hit you with 3 jabs. I said, whoa, man, Sid Terrace. All right. Anyway, look, I can't finish without saying that it did invoke some memories and thoughts that we've been here before in a different way, where Jake Paul's brother fought Mayweather. That's not forget. And I'm not saying
the growing tension between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis captures the perfect clash between entertainment and authentic competition. Their fiery face-off wasn't just about attitude. It symbolized a deeper story driving this matchup. On one side stands Jake Paul, the bold internet celebrity turned fighter, whose persona thrives on power, confidence, and media attention. On the other is Gervonta "Tank" Davis, a seasoned world champion celebrated for his sharp timing, precise technique, and elite ring IQ. Fans are fascinated because the fight reignites an age-old debate. Can raw size and strength overcome refined skill and experience? This bout is more than a contest of pride. It reflects the evolution of boxing itself. Where spectacle meets tradition, Jake embodies the modern, entertainment-focused side of the sport, while Davis represents its classic foundation built on discipline and mastery. Their showdown isn't just about the outcome. It's about determining which world truly defines the future of boxing. As fight night approaches, anticipation grows, not only for the punches that will be thrown, but for the message this battle sends about the sport's direction in an era ruled by fame, money, and ambition.
Off the path, but this one is not. It's not like someone else, in a similar weight. It's like completely the opposite, and so that makes it, I think, look and feel weird. And then on top of it, obviously, Gervonta's got other business to handle. He looked to me, Gervonta, absolutely, completely disinterested. Even at the beginning of this year, and even at the pre-fight Lamont Roach stuff, Tank was talking about how much time he has left in boxing, which he was wasn't much. The Lamont Roach fight, it blew up in his face, but Lamont Roach was cherry-picked. I think Tank thought, I'll just fight another guy from, the mid-Atlantic area who's, remember Roach came up from 30 to 35 to fight him, and Tank thought he was just going to cruise, and then it blew up in his face, and you're left with that. So you're making a point about he's got this obligation. That's true, but he was already fucking around. He was already taking opponents that, again, I think Roach showed everyone that was a mistake, but put yourself in Tank's mind. Tank was taking a fight against someone he was clearly, in his mind anyway, better than, and was just going to cruise. So he was already in that state. Then you marry that with statements like, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be doing this, and blah, blah, blah. And, I'm worried about going to therapy because it'll take away my competitive edge. And, kind of teetering on the edge a little bit about whether or not this is a thing he wants to do. Then
Promoter Nakisa Darian added fuel to the growing hype by revealing key details about the fight's official rules. He announced that both Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis will compete using 10-ounce gloves, a decision that immediately caught the attention of fans and boxing analysts alike. Typically, heavier fighters use larger gloves to soften the force of punches, but this setup prioritizes speed and precision over extra padding. given Jake's natural size advantage. The smaller gloves help level the playing field while making each exchange far more dangerous. Bidarian's decision underscores how carefully this matchup has been structured, balancing entertainment value with competitive fairness and ensuring both fighters face equal risk. The choice also amps up anticipation, since lighter gloves often lead to faster action, sharper combinations, and the kind of explosive moments that can turn a fight in an instant.
Like that in 10 ounces, I'm gonna tell you this. Jake's 200 and something pounds. That's still gonna hurt at the very least, and who knows what, because Tank's got ridiculous power. So Jake, a little sloppy on the push there. He got pushed. He wanted to get it back. There's something to be taken away from that, but lines up perfectly for a counter left hand. And you even see his promoter here is kind of grabbing his left hand because Tank wanted to let it fly. And Jake backed up a little bit. He said, oh, and Tank comes from that. Tank, man. Tank said, where I'm from, the bullies get bullied. All right, dude, there you go. Listen, takeaways from this thing, I don't know. Tank seemed to have a little bit more energy today. He seemed to be more lively. Him going back and forth with the media, with Jay Leon, with Jake, with Aiden Ross. There seemed to be a bit more energy today. That's all I really asked for. So in terms of, selling us on something, sure. Better job today from both guys. Jake, seemed a bit more locked in here with Tank as well. They had a little bit more fun. Tank going after Kisa was pretty funny. But listen, this doesn't change anything in my mind. The 10-ounce gloves doesn't really change anything to me. I mean, again, I think that's a bad idea for Tank, more so because even if Jake doesn't land clean, those are 10-ounce gloves. It's still going to hurt. Tank is still punching in gloves that are 2 ounces heavier than he normally uses, so I don't know how that's a win for him. The $2 million bet almost certainly won't happen, which I didn't think would in the first place, but Tank pretty much confirmed it. And we're all left with the same kind of idea that we thought about this to begin with. This is an entertainment exhibition that we know is going to draw a ton of eyeballs. I'm going to watch, and there's going to be great high-level competition boxing on the underneath card. And
the highly anticipated clash between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul has captured the boxing world's attention. Yet Floyd Mayweather has once again managed to pull some of the spotlight back toward himself. For years, Floyd has perfected the art of remaining in the public eye, showing up whenever the focus begins to shift and ensuring that major events always carry his presence. His latest move proves he still knows how to shape the narrative, even without stepping into the ring. Meanwhile, with fans debating Jake's size versus Tank's skill and power, Gervonta remains fully focused on his training. He's putting to work quietly, preparing to demonstrate that true talent, discipline, and ring intelligence still define boxing greatness. At the end of the day, predictions and headlines can dominate conversation, but it will be Tank's performance inside the ropes that truly tells a story.
Fighters spar in 16-ounce gloves. 12-ounce and 10-ounce gives you a little bit more safety, which is the key here, given the size difference, but there's a massive experience difference. We will have 3 world-class judges ringside that the commission has approved to ensure there's a rendered decision for the fans. It will not go on their record, but there will be 3 experienced judges, some of the best in the business, giving their view of who won the fight.
So let me just follow up with this then. The Florida statute says that it means an exhibition means a boxing, kickboxing, or mixed martial arts.
You saw the exhibition of Floyd and Logan. Okay. So just go with that, and if they weren't...
Thanks for tuning in to the latest in boxing news, highlights, and top stories. Make sure to subscribe to Final Bell and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Check out our other videos for even more action and analysis. Until next time, stay safe and keep your passion for boxing alive.